Well, it's another day and another reminder, probably our 11th or 12th one of the season, to not overreact to 49ers quarterback news, specifically news involving Jimmy Garoppolo, too early. There is, in fact, a chance that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to return on Sunday. And while that might be unlikely, there's a bigger chance that he'll return in week 18 against the Rams. And it's just unwise to close the book on Jimmy Garoppolo right now. There were conflicting reports. I made an entire video about it on Monday from Kyle Shanahan, who said there was no fracture and that Jimmy Garoppolo had a thumb sprain. And then from Ian Rappaport and Adam Schefter, who talked about a fracture and talked about a UCL tear. So it was tough to put those two together at the time, but now Kyle Shanahan has spoken on Wednesday. Jimmy Garoppolo has spoken on Wednesday, and we have clarification of why Shanahan's description of Garoppolo's injury on Monday was different than Schefter's and Rappaport's. So I'm going to explain what the deal is and then, just toss out a discussion, maybe some probabilities about when Jimmy Garoppolo might be able to return to play. He's currently trying to throw ahead of 49ers practice as we speak on this live. So he's working with trainers. This will be his first time trying to throw since Thursday, but not since the injury. He played an entire half of football, adjusted his throwing style, worked through the pain, used adrenaline, whatever he needed to play since the injury. So that might give the 49ers some hope that he'll actually be available moving forward because he's already played 30 minutes of football or 34 minutes of football with the injury. But right now is his first time throwing since Thursday, since the end of that game in Nashville. So if Garoppolo is able to pass the test with the trainers today, it's kind of a pain management thing. He'll practice in a limited fashion. If he's not, the 49ers will try again tomorrow, and I'll explain what I think the probabilities are, especially given the opponents. The Texans are worse than the Rams. I think that probably has to factor into stuff. We'll discuss all of that as soon as we discuss the actual injury. So the injury is indeed a torn ulnar collateral ligament, which, as you can see in this diagram of the thumb that I pulled up on Google, is right here. It's kind of at the base of the thumb. The ligament is torn. It's called the UCL in abbreviation, right around that spot. And the reason why Kyle Shanahan said that there wasn't a fracture is because the fracture is not huge at all. In fact, whenever the UCL is torn, it will actually rip off a fleck of bone. But in Garoppolo's case, the fleck was very small. And this bone right here on the thumb, the overall structure of it is not compromised. So in the case of Drew Brees, who suffered a similar but different injury last year, you had the torn UCL, but you also had the bone break in a much more severe fashion. So you had to have surgery. So the key here is that Garoppolo's bone is stable, unlike Drew Brees' last year. And this means that Garoppolo currently does not need surgery and might be able to play sooner rather than later. Now, that's not to say that it's a slam dunk that he's going to play. He's obviously compromised at the current moment in his ability to handle the football. He was in the second half of the game against Tennessee. He had to adapt his throwing style over the course of that half, so it's probably no surprise, given that information, that he played better toward the end of that game when the 49ers tied it with a 97-yard drive than he did at the very start of the second half when he threw that interception, which was compromised by the thumb, to Amani Hooker. So it was pain management. It was adrenaline for Garoppolo then, but the thumb was still intact as far as the bone goes. The ligament was torn, but the thumb was intact. So now, given the fact that you won't have the same kind of immediate post-injury adrenaline on Sunday against the Texans if he does play, will he be able to perform and deliver the same throws that he usually does with a healthy thumb? Well, based on what I hear, there are numbing agents that Garoppolo can use, which he probably will use if he does try to play on Sunday. And obviously with the bone being there, with the ligament being torn, he could still apply the bone against the football and still be able to get a certain type of grip. But it's going to really hurt if there are no numbing agents. And the question is, will the auxiliary forces in his hand, even with the ligament torn, still be able to physically grip the ball in the correct way? Well, again, he made some adjustments against Tennessee in the second half on Thursday, so it was possible then. Nobody's sure if it's going to be possible moving forward. So his chances to play seem to be tied to pain management, but at least we now understand why Shanahan was saying that there was no fracture, because the fracture is not the significant part of this deal. It's the ligament tear that's the part of this deal. And sprain and tear, those are the same thing, right? You go grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. Well, this is a grade 3 UCL sprain, which means there was actually a full tear. That's, grade 1 means it's just a slight strain. Grade 2, partial tear. Grade 3, there was a full tear. So the fracture is not what the 49ers are worried about here. It's the actual tear that's, compromising Garoppolo's availability moving forward. And we're just going to have to sit back and see what happens, because that's what Jimmy Garoppolo is doing, and that's what the 49ers are doing. I think they obviously would like him to continue starting. If not, a video up on Trey Lance is coming next. So I'm not going to intertwine the Trey Lance and the Jimmy Garoppolo videos. We're talking about two separate things: Lance's development, his potential readiness to play against the Texans, and Jimmy Garoppolo and his injury and his potential to be able to manage it and play against the Houston Texans. But I will say right now that I think when it comes to the larger picture decision facing the 49ers on Sunday, they do have to consider that they're playing a weaker opponent this weekend and a much stronger opponent in the Rams in Week 18. And you guys saw my playoff piece and the probabilities and the importance of conference record. I made a video about it yesterday on top of the article in Athletic. And even though the 49ers might technically be able to clinch this weekend against the Texans, that's going to rely on help from other teams. In all likelihood, I think the 49ers probably, based on how this season has gone, are going to have to win twice to make the playoffs. I think weird stuff is going to happen if they don't. I think that, they might back into this by going 1-1 over these final two games. But I think the 49ers are going to have to earn this. I really do. I think a 9-8 finish, I think you got to go 10-7. And they have a chance to do that right now at 8-7. And I think that's what this team is shooting for. You can't leave it up to the fate of other stuff happening. They're heavy favorites against the Houston Texans. And right now they're currently underdogs against the Rams by about a touchdown. And that's because Garoppolo's availability is in doubt even for Week 18. But if you look at the two-game challenge in front of the 49ers, the Texans are a team they should be able to beat even with rookie Trey Lance starting at quarterback. And if Garoppolo is in any way compromised, which it seems to me that he will be, why risk playing him? Why risk aggravating the injury against a 4-11 Houston Texans team that you should handle anyway if you're the San Francisco 49ers? So that's how I see it. I see that you don't take any chances this week, and you look at that Week 18 game. Maybe you beat the Texans and you clinch anyway this week, and then you face a great situation if you're the 49ers, because you don't have to play anybody. You can play Trey Lance in Week 18. But why push it with Garoppolo in Week 17? Why not give that thumb and that torn ligament the rehab and whatever it needs? Don't use any more numbing agents than you have to. Save them all for Week 18 when you may really need it in a do-or-die game against the Rams. That's how I think the 49ers are approaching it. And based on the details of this injury, which, we now have clarification on, I think that that's the right way to go. So I'm going to answer any questions that you guys may have about this right now. Not much, man. It's going well over here. Did our 49ers press conference over Zoom today. I mean, I agree with you. I think that Jimmy Garoppolo played through a really painful injury. The adrenaline helped him against Tennessee. He told the trainers, so we can eliminate that conspiracy theory. People thought that Jimmy Garoppolo somehow was hiding his injury, even though I posted the video of him clearly favoring it, telling Tom Compton about it. Kyle Juszczyk said afterwards that Jimmy Garoppolo told him about it. Kyle Shanahan today knew about it during the game. It's clear the 49ers think Jimmy Garoppolo is their best option to win, and that's not crazy. He is their best option to win right now if he's not too significantly compromised. So he tried to play through it because he's trying to help the team. I mean, it's as simple as that. This whole oh, but he's looking over his shoulder because of Trey Lance doesn't really make any sense since we've already seen Trey Lance play for the 49ers this year. And obviously they went back to Garoppolo then, and they even went back to Garoppolo after his very worst outing of the season against the Indianapolis Colts. In general, Garoppolo has been playing efficient football. He's had games where he hasn't been efficient, but those are fewer and farther between than the games in which he's been very efficient, right? So you got the game against the Seahawks and the game against the Tennessee Titans. Those were the two bad ones recently for Jimmy Garoppolo. But the 49ers and Shanahan, they're confident that if they can get him out there playing, if they can do enough to get this thumb in serviceable condition, they have their best shot with him. And he's going to fight until he can't fight anymore. I think we already know that about Jimmy Garoppolo. People have tried to count him out at several different steps of this entire year, right? They try to count him out when the Stafford rumors were going down. They tried to count him out when the Deshaun Watson rumors were going down. They said, hey, there's no way he's going to be back with the 49ers after they traded up to number 3. And they said there's no way he's going to be back with the 49ers after they flirted with Aaron Rodgers, reportedly, on the day of the draft. Same message after they drafted Trey Lance. Same message in OTAs. Same message in training camp. Same message before the trade deadline. Well, guess what? Everybody's been wrong. Well, not everybody, but these people who have been saying this have been wrong time and time and time again. So just because they're Twitter doctors now and they proclaim that Garoppolo is completely done after a thumb injury, well, I don't really subscribe to theories of people who don't know what they're talking about. So right now, I don't know what's happening with the 49ers. Jimmy Garoppolo's not really sure what's happening. The 49ers aren't sure, but they know there's a chance. And I wouldn't rule anything out until we actually, get to Sunday. And in my opinion, this is me just spitballing here, giving a weather forecast based on what I know. The 49ers face a much bigger chance in week 18 than in week 17. This is a ligament injury that will improve with time and with physical rehab. Week 18 seems much more likely to me than week 17, and Kyle Shanahan insinuated the same today. All right, any more questions? Yeah, I mean, this is a good. I believe, I believe that you're insinuating about Garoppolo's mentality during the game. I believe he injured his thumb, but didn't think it was serious. That could have been it. Even with the, adrenaline flowing, he probably did, sense the discomfort in the thumb, which is why he told people, when Danico Autry picks you up by the thumb and then slams you on your thumb, that something might be wrong. But he probably didn't know the full severity of it until after because of that adrenaline. The 49ers on the sideline probably didn't know either. And to be honest, Garoppolo didn't finish that game all too poorly, right? Led them on a 97-yard drive where he's nearly perfect. So he figured out his way around it. There was a really nice release from Garoppolo to, was it Jermichael Hasty on a third down, or he just barely got it away, got the 49ers a first down. Then it was a nice crisp throw to Brandon Ayuk for the touchdown. The big 56-yarder to Deebo Samuel looked pretty good too. So it seems that he can function with this injury. It's just a matter of managing the adrenaline. This is the big question right here. I think against the Texans, you can afford to play Jimmy, but against the Lance, against the Texans, you can afford to play Lance, but to beat the Rams, you might need Jimmy. All right, Lance video coming soon. Everybody take care.